All right, welcome back, everyone. The next speaker is Jason Torpy. He's the president of the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers. There's more. Which is a member of the Secular Coalition for America. Jason is serving on the board. He was in the Army for 11 years, rising from private to captain. Served in the United States, Germany, and Iraq. Was a graduate of West Point and right here at The Ohio State University. Yeah. All right, thanks.
And I don't think that's right. Ohio State grad and a West Pointer. So normally I tell you about Ohio State, but I'm going to skip it today. What you have here are the academies. I want everyone to understand is, as I talk to you today, this isn't an informational briefing about how terrible it is in the military for all of us, or how wonderful it is the service that atheists and humanists have been doing all around the country. It's a briefing that provides you information so that you can go back to your campuses and start telling other people about it. So I want you to see this as something that you can really, feel and understand and get a connection to these people so that you can have more vibrant meetings, and then you can pass this message on to your communities and your campuses. These, just for your information, these are the official chapels at each of the military academies. We got West Point, United States Air Force Academy, and the United States Naval Academy. So don't think that there's not plenty of religion within our military. And you'll hear a lot of knowing smiles from these two. We've got the Air Force Academy and West Point represented right here in the front row. So here's a picture, right? I heard a little woohoo, a little bit. I don't want you to look at this picture. I don't want you to see it. I want you to feel it. You see the flag, steely-eyed killers, defenders of our nation, our national values in America. Some people will see fascism, right? I've only got 15 minutes. I can't address that, but I definitely have something for you as well. But I can tell you that not in America, in America, all the people that hate us, they love this. They got nothing but good things to say about what you see here. The feelings that they have, they get goosebumps. They understand that this is really what America is about. And when they think all the good things about this, they need to understand that this is us as well. It's not just them. It's not just religious people waving crosses. Gun in one hand, cross in another, taking it out to the evil people. Right? This is us serving the nation. Right? Defending our values. And I want, when people see this, I want the feeling that they see when they see this. I want them to get that same feeling when they see a Happy Humanist or a Scarlet A, or when they hear about your groups out in the area. So when I talk to you today, the intention, the vision, is that people out in the world will have good feelings about us in the same way that they have good feelings about this. Okay? Because that vision, the religious side, they get it. The Christians, they get it. $675 million is the annual budget of just these 4 ministries. And they're not just military ministries. Everybody loves the kids as well, right? The students. They're military and student ministries. Campus Crusade for Christ, you heard about them? Officers Christian Fellowship, maybe not as much, but front row, heard of them in the academies? Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're everywhere. Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Navigators, 2 other ones. They get it. They're putting money into it and time and effort into it. Not just because they want to increase their visibility, but because they actually care and want to support not just the students, but the military as well. And I'll tell you what, they're trying to convert people, right? When you go out and do it, I hope that you're just trying to support people that are out there, and if they're interested, then they can come to us. So our motives can be a little bit more pure, but I can tell you what, we've got, if we get just 6 of those zeros instead of all 9 of them, we'll be rolling around in happy time, right? And I'll tell you what, the general public gets it as well. This is a billboard, one of many. I only put one up here to show you, to remind you, because I'm sure you saw it. The people that hate us, that feel like you have to have good to be ethical, the people that hate everything atheist and humanist, the people that want to put us down, take away our civil rights and our human rights, they're using America to do it. They're using the flag to do it. They're using military service to do it. In North Carolina, they're putting up a Christian flag alongside military flags. In three different places in California, they've got crosses up on federal land, and they're trying to say they're war memorials, basically tossing dead soldiers on it to protect their establishment of religion and government. That kind of thing can't happen when people like you, the students, are out there telling them, hey, we serve as well. This is our country as well. This is our flag as well. They're succeeding in the military as well. On the far side, that's Donald Rumsfeld from 2003, way back in the day, before a decade of war in Iraq and in the Middle East. On the bottom there, I didn't go into detail, but this is front page strategic national security briefings that sent us to that war. They've got Bible verses on them. Bible verses that talk about how this is a religious war. This is a Christian war that needs to send us overseas. And that verse there, you can look it up. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? It says, here I am, Lord, send me. Isaiah 6:8, and it basically says, destroy the culture. Cultural genocide and actual murderous genocide. That's what the rest of that quote is for, and that's what sent us to war. On this side, we have Cadence International, not even one of the 4 ministry organizations that I talked about. This organization runs military retreats and military support for service members. And their strategic vision, their strategic ministry, these are the 7 points. And you don't have to read them, but I can tell you that they don't say help troops, support service members, try to make things easier for people that are defending the nation. They say exploit young people, exploit service members that are 18 and 19-year-olds that are starting their career and have a long career ahead of them. These are people that we can go in and convert to our belief system because they're vulnerable. All right, that's unacceptable, but it happens, and it's accepted out there all around the world, all around our military. And that's the kind of thing that you can start to overcome with positive outreach and positive support to make sure that all the atheists and humanists out there know that they have people that care about them as well. Because we always have served and always will. These are real faces from the organization, from the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers. These are people that have signed up that said, I'm serving, I'd like support, I'm out here, I've got wars out. That's a ship, USS Abraham Lincoln. They had a little group that they could put together. Chaplains wouldn't help them, but they got a little bit of help from the ship command, and that was nice. But they're all over the place, and most of them are still not connected. Members of the Military Association from every conflict back to World War II were represented. World War II, Vietnam War, and modern wars as well. So they're all out there, and they really appreciate some positive visibility and positive outreach from the civilian community. And they more than appreciate it, they need it, because it's hard enough to serve without feeling like you're alone in a crowd. And people are standing up. Like I said, we've got two heroes up front, starting local groups, fighting tooth and nail with people that are senior military officers. They can literally send them to jail if they're not polite enough to them. I mean, that's how the military works. So when they're standing up, they're really putting themselves on the line, because we're not anonymous. And all these people here, you see, you have people that have been plaintiffs. Jeremy Hall and Dustin Chalker are up there that were plaintiffs years ago. Wayne Atkins quit the military. Wayne's not here, is he? He left the military, the National Guard, because the head of the National Guard in Ohio, here in Ohio, said there's no atheists in foxholes, and was totally unrepentant about saying that even though that person worked for him, that he didn't have to respect him. Justin Griffith, you should know, Ryan Jean, and Dan Rawlings, and Ray Bradley. They've all stood up to be leaders in their area, to start local groups, to start events, to protest activities, to become lay leaders, to try to work with the chaplains, even though we get ignorance and hostility. We're trying to reach out as much as we can to try to change those minds and try to open their hearts so that we have supporters out there. So we're not just individuals, but we're actually leaders trying to develop policy and work with them in the military. So keep in mind these people. These are people that can come and speak at your local area. These are stories that you can tell in your local meetings. These are things that you can write about in your campus newspaper. So keep these stories in mind, because people are standing up. Not counting all the people that are still anonymous because they're afraid to speak up. We have more and more people that are in the military and speaking up, celebrate what they're doing. So this is a little bit busy because these are all the many things that we can do, that my organization is doing, and I get support from not just with the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers, but support from American Atheists and Secular Students Alliance and Camp Quest and American Humanist Association. We have a large civilian community all around the country and really around the world, everywhere. And this community is growing and it's becoming more and more strong. It's becoming more mutually supportive. And I want to make sure to communicate that support to the military, to make sure that all those individuals out there moving from post to post, being deployed and having their own families and jobs, I want to make sure they know that we're out there for them. Make sure they know that community is there. I want to make sure military leaders know that we have psychologists, we have mental health professionals and medical professionals and counselors and community leaders and organizers that can communicate to them in the same way that local church leaders and chaplains and clergy members and religious personnel can. We can connect to them not just with secular community that's not religious, but with the humanist community and an atheist community and even the Pastafarians out there. We can connect with them on their level. We can meet service members on their terms so that as they deal with the stress of military life and combat, they can have support from a community of like-minded individuals. And I want you to note here, as you have your local meetings and do your local campus media, you can reach out to MAAF for demographic studies and stories and news, things like that, so that you can talk about this and make this a topic of conversation. And I'll talk about ROTC later on as well. You've got local military communities, you've got ROTC on campus, and you can take this information to them and make debates and make events, joint events where you're coming together and reaching out to that community. This is one topic. I'm going to talk about a few individual topics that you can cover. This is spiritual fitness. So if you're in the military right now, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, Coast Guard, if you're in a military hospital, the medical command kind of covers all these different areas. The Department of Defense, the Veterans Affairs, they say, hey, you need to get spiritual. You need to have spirituality. They test you on this. Take a few studies. How would you feel if you in your college, they gave you a test and said, well, do you feel like you're spiritual? Do you consider yourself spiritual? Do you feel a connection with a higher power? And if you fail that test, you get an F. You get a red bar that says, well, maybe you need to seek help, because you're not spiritual enough. This happens in our military. And then they're spending tens of millions of dollars to develop training on what it means to be spiritual and how you can be more spiritual. And theoretically, if that meant improve your well-being, study your beliefs, maybe we could work on that. Maybe we could work with them. But they don't want to work with us. They want to work with people that talk about gratitude to God and talk about prayer and talk about church communities, attending church. This is the nature of what this training has been, and despite our outreach, we're not getting that. So you can study this. You can do studies in your area for anybody who's in psychology or sociology or mental health fields or community relations. You can study this program that's based on positive psychology and look at how positive psychology, which is at least somewhat scientific, rotates into the military and becomes religion. Study if it's having its positive effects. Suicides, post-traumatic stress disorder. These things can be studied in your academic areas, and you can have professors come in and talk about whether this approach, as it stands in the military, is actually creating positive impact, or if the religion has changed its focus from mental health to proselytism. So that's a big focus. In your handouts, does everybody have handouts? All right, you've got handouts, and as you look at these individual topic areas, you've got links online where you can see where I provide information, background, and further information and more details on how to study these issues. These demographics are important as well. If you look at these charts, in the red, that's chaplain coverage in terms of percentage, and the blue is general population. You have to understand, don't be fooled, less than 70% of the military self-identifies as Christian. Less than 70%. Almost 70% of the military chaplains are evangelistic denominations. Southern Baptist, Seventh-day Adventists, organizations that are out there, at least at first glance, that seem to be trying to convert the population, not just support their Christians. All right, people that really emphasize the Great Commission. So this bias in demographics is extremely problematic, and you can talk about, what are the chaplains really doing? What are they really out there for? 98% of the chaplains is some sort of Christian denomination, not just the evangelistic, but other Christian denominations and Catholics. 98%. It's only been since 1990 when there was anything other than Christians and Jews. So really put a focus on what chaplains are doing, what their bias is, what their training is, what they know about us. Because there certainly isn't any support for this group over here. Also, don't be fooled. We're not an insignificant minority. We are a significant minority. If you take no religious preference, which is kind of an unknown, undetermined quantity, put that aside, and then you put aside about 15 of the largest Christian denominations, then you get atheist. Just atheist. Not the agnostics, not the people hiding in no religious preference. Self-identified atheists in the military. And then below that, smaller quantities, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Wiccans, anything that's not Christian. Smaller than just self-identified atheists. And there's not that much of us, but there's more of us than them. So why aren't they supporting us? Why aren't they focusing on us? Why aren't they doing specific training for us? Why aren't they doing outreach to our community? And you can study that. Again, sociology, psychology, law, politics, journalism, whatever courses that you're in, there's something for you. This demographics information is available on the site. This is a new 2012 study, first published here. You guys were the first ones to see this. Now, to be fair, the 2009 study that this updates, so we have 2 data points, not 1. There's actually about 5 data points with other information on the site. This information didn't change that much from the previous 2009 study, but it's still information that should be talked about more in academic settings because it's direct from the Department of Defense. This isn't a sample study. This is an actual population study that looks at everybody's self-identified preference. 2 million data points. I'm going to talk about the communities that you can reach out to. First, of the MAAF site, we have specific military organizations. Last thing I want to do is reinvent the wheel, but just like the student population has its own culture and its own regulations and resources, the military culture has its own, or the military population has its own culture and its own regulations and resources that we try to support specifically. So look for, you can go on the MAAF website and look on that site to see if there are any military communities in your area. And if there are not, there are military installations in your area. And if there aren't, there are National Guard armories in your area. And there may be Veterans Administration buildings, VA hospitals in your area, or military enlistment processing stations. There's a military community out there, and if nothing else, you have veterans and retired personnel and people that know military in your area. Connect with them, reach out to them, have speakers come in, talk to them about these issues, have debates, have discussions, study sessions. These things, this is what increases that visibility. And remember the vision right at the beginning. What we want to do is we want to have a U.S. population that remembers that we serve the nation as well. Atheists and humanists, we have just the one life to live. And when we talk about sacrifice, we really mean the ultimate sacrifice, not the sacrifice that leads to an afterlife. We mean we've just got that one life to live. And there are a lot of us putting here all around the country. This is a real map, right? These are not random dots. These are where we have military points of contact and military groups for local chapters of MAAF. We have people out there that say, I care enough about America that even though I know I only have the one life, I want to put that on the line. So celebrate these people, invite them in. And ROTC as well, there's a couple of links up here. It's not that hard to find, but look for ROTC on your installation or on your campus. If there's not a ROTC on your campus, there's probably a sister campus that has our ROTC. So specifically, I hope that everybody here, if nothing else, this semester, or maybe next semester, you'll have a joint event where you have the ROTC community come in to either discuss or debate, depending on what their opinion is, humanist chaplains, atheist chaplains, military demographics, whatever it is out of this briefing and out of that handout that I provided, whatever really jumps out at you, talk about something. Make sure that that community, that ROTC, knows you're out there and knows we're out there, and all the atheists and humanists that might be hiding in that community, all the atheists and humanists that they bumped into in the future, they know that we're out there. And if nothing else, all the kind of anti-atheist, really pro-patriotic people know that they don't have a monopoly on patriotism. They don't have a monopoly on service to the nation. We do that as well. All right. And this is just a closing slide that reiterates what I've said. We're right at 20 minutes here. Reach out to military installations in ROTC for service and for fellowship. They use that term fellowship, but it's a community. We need to co-opt that term as well and reach out and show them that they have friends. Invite military speakers to learn more about issues. Have people like Robert, Bobby, we like to call him, Blake, come in and talk to you about these issues. All those people with the local MAAF communities. Have military personnel come in and talk about their situation and what they need. Study secular service and psychology and law, journalism, whatever your academic discipline is. Pull something out and write a paper about it. Study about it. Have a class about it. And highlight the need for reform in campus debates and media. All these people on your campus, they're going to go out into the world. Make sure that they know and they've heard about it and they have facts like the demographics. There are atheists in foxholes. That's a good communication to put out there. So I've provided these things out here. This is a request for action, and the vision is that atheists and humanists are patriots and are serving the nation. Make sure to get that message out there. Prove it to people. Show facts and show faces. All of our atheists and humanists. We have those people out there for you. So with that, that's the end of my regular talk. Any questions you have? We have a couple minutes here for that. Thank you very much for coming out. I really appreciate SSA having me.